everybody. Welcome to a new season of The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm your host, Jesse Covill. For the next 30 minutes, we're covering all the latest news, all the betting trends. We're going to get you ready for week one in the NFL. It's going to be amazing. And by we, I mean these guys. We got DraftKings contributors.
All right,
Steve
let's go.
Buchanan, Reed Fowler,
Let's
Julian
go.
Edlow. Fellas, we're ready to tackle week one of the NFL season. Before we do that, let's look at some betting trends. They're up on the board over here. So some things to notice here. Cleveland Browns at Carolina Panthers. 75% of the bets are on the Carolina money line. Revenge game, anybody? Baker Mayfield, perhaps? All right, Colts at Texans. 75% of the handle, 77% of the bets are on the Colts here. So we're looking at all these trends, guys, but let's get your best bets of the year. Let's just jump right into it. The good stuff. We want to hear your best bets for week one. Give your favorite play and why, okay? And then your colleagues here will respectfully, either agree or disagree.
It's not true at all.
All right, well, we'll see. Julian, start us off here, man.
Yeah, a lot of these numbers obviously moved since they went on the board. 6 months ago, you guys make fun of me all the time. I put out San Francisco last year in an article. It won, had to use it on the show at a different number. It lost. So I'm staying away from the move numbers. I'm going to the player prop market. A little bit more fresh. I'm going to Justin Fields over 32.5 rushing yards against the 49ers. Bears roughly touchdown dogs in that game. So game script plays into it. The Bears offensive line cannot protect Fields at all. I think he's going to do plenty of scrambling in this game to stay in it. And weather-wise, it's pretty sloppy in Chicago. I don't think that we're going to see too much passing of the ball. So I think it plays right into Justin Fields' hand here. He had a huge game running against San Francisco last year. 10 carries for 103 yards in this spot. I think at 32.5, that's a pretty modest number here.
Reed, Steve, you guys both look pretty amenable to that. I mean, do you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, Fields might have to go over this just by trying to escape for his life alone, right? Because of how bad this offensive line is. Like, now they don't have Andy Dalton. They have a guy that can move around. Now they can afford to have a flimsy offensive line because Fields can go all over the field, right? But I do like this number here. You know, Julian mentioned that there is rain in the forecast. I mean, I don't really care about that. But obviously that is going to limit the passing. And wind, yeah, okay. All the elements that are there. All the elements that are always there we have to worry about. I do like this one, though, against the 49ers. I think this is going to be a tough game for the 49ers to generate some offense. The Bears to generate some offense here against a very good 49ers defense, so I do like the over in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. You take a look at how this offense is currently constructed. It is Justin Fields. It is Montgomery, it's Khalil Herbert, and it's Darnell Mooney. I know people like Cole Kmet, but if you take a look at both of these sides, right, you could easily see both of these guys going over their rushing
Lance
prop.
as well, yeah.
So absolutely love it. I think it's a great spot for Justin Fields. And the new Luke Getsy, the new OC, probably not going to want to pass the ball a ton in his first game as an OC for Chicago.
All right, Steve, you going with a player prop, or what do we like?
No, I'm going to go with the game total of the Eagles and Lions going over 48.5 here. We got two of the best offensive lines really in all of football with the Eagles and the Lions. I don't think that Lions offensive line really gets talked about enough, but both of these quarterbacks were pretty efficient when they had a clean pocket here. Hurts only at 68.7% completion rate with a clean pocket, but I think it's fair to say that those offensive weapons have really been upgraded over the offseason here. Goff was very good with a clean pocket, 73% completion, only 4 interceptions in that instance here, but I think we're really going to be going up and down the field here with these two teams. Obviously, a ton of offense here coming from the Eagles. I think the Lions can do enough to help push this to go over 48.5 points, so I like that one there at minus 110.
How do you guys feel about the over in this one?
Yeah, I think there's a long tail to the over as well. I mean, you take a look at, are we under-evaluating Detroit? I know Hard Knocks came out, and so everybody loves this offense, and we all love Monroe St. Brown and what he did. But you take a look at how they're currently constructed. You talk about offensive line. You give Goff a clean pocket. It's great. And you have those running backs in both Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. On the other side, what if A.J. Brown is the guy that they basically traded for, right, on draft day? So I absolutely love this one. I think you can also pair Philly in a lot of different bets this week.
It looks like a sharp play. You look at the splits on DK Sportsbook, 44% of the bets, but for 64% of the handle, so about 2/3 of the money is there with less than half of the ticket count. That's always good to see. And yeah, I wouldn't touch a side in this game at all because you got the hyped Lions from Hard Knocks. Eagles now getting all that hype. They opened at an 8.5 win total. They're now a very juiced 9.5, could easily be at 10. I'm not picking a side in this game, but it looks like that Lions defense isn't quite there. Maybe the Eagles put up their points, and the Lions on offense, that's the strength of their team. So this would be an over or nothing if you're picking a side or a total in this game.
All right, Reed, give us your best bet. And you had to shift on this
Shit,
one.
yeah, Minnesota, they were a dog, one of 10 dogs, home dogs to come out, and now they're favorites in this one at -1.5. So let's go to the money line, Minnesota. Since 2017, the Vikes have a winning record against Green Bay, 4-2 straight up, 4-2 ATS as well. Kirk Cousins actually plays Green Bay very well. This is a division matchup, I get it. You don't want to pick a side, I completely understand. So give me Minnesota money line. I think there's a lot, even within that, the same game parlay, getting Dalvin Cook to score a touchdown and taking Minnesota money line is a good play. Green Bay lost some guys on that defense, including Zadarius Smith. So I do think that the Vikes can run on this team.
Steve, Jules here.
I mean, just a lot of questions on this Packers offense. Sans, Devontae Adams on there. Then Alan Lazard looking like he's not going to be in this game either. So I think the Packers are really going to struggle to move the ball in this one here. So I do like the Vikings a lot today.
Real quick,
Yeah,
Jules.
I mean, every time you move from a dog to a favorite, that's a pretty good sign. You remember last year, Green Bay got a lot of money week 1 in New Orleans. They lost that game 38-3, so maybe not a hot start team, and they got to figure out that offense without these receivers.
All right, guys, best bets. It's in the books. All right, segment 1 coming up next. We're going to see how some of today's injury news could possibly impact how we should be betting here. So you guys are going to guide us through that. That is next on The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And during week 1, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Download the app and use code SWEAT when you sign up. Hey guys, welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm your host, Jesse Cofield. I've got Steve Buchanan and Julian Edlow here with me, and we are ready to talk about what you guys might be sweating today, okay? So like which injuries you might be keeping an eye on when it comes to betting today's games. So we're gonna have some key names up there, guys who are questionable for week 1, so that's up there now. So we got a couple guys now who are officially out. Zach Wilson, Alan Lazard, J.K. Dobbins. So which one of these has you most concerned, most frustrated? Like, how does it affect how you're going to bet on the game, if at all, Julian?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at these injuries, week 1 is weird because we know these guys for a long time, right? That they're up in the air and then we finally get word. So I'm going to start with that Ravens backfield. We know that Gus Edwards has been out, and Dobbins was a guy after the knee injury last year. Is he going to return, right, and get that big week 1 workload and a good matchup against the Jets? And he's not. So now where do we go? And it's looking like, I know they signed Kenyon Drake, but it's looking like that Mike Davis backfield, if you're playing, that's the guy that's going to get a lot of the work. But then you have Lamar Jackson, didn't come to the contract agreement. We'll touch on that a little bit later. is he going to kind of bust out all the stops now to get that contract? And running the ball against the Jets is a pretty good matchup there. So I'm looking at the Ravens backfield, how it ties into the quarterback situation.
All right, Steve, where are you looking?
Yeah, so, just talking about Allen Lazard here, you look at this Packers offense from last season. No Devontae Adams, no NVS, and now no Allen Lazard. These three together combined for almost 50% of the total targets that Aaron Rodgers had last year. All of these guys, obviously for different reasons. MVS is with the Chiefs, Adams is with the Raiders, and then Lazard is out here. So now we're looking at an offense led that has Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, one of the rookies here, Christian Watson. Like, that's what this offense is going to look like here. And then to Reed's point, obviously this has moved a lot since it first opened here. The Vikings were underdogs for a while. Now they're 2-point favorites coming into today. So it just really makes you wonder where this offense is going to come from. It's going to have to come on the ground, because while those quarterbacks for the Vikings aren't overly opposing, when there's not many people to throw to, and this was an issue for Rodgers all season long last year, now even more so, really makes you like the Vikings in this game.
All right, well, while not always injury related, you can place a futures bet on the DK Sportsbook for Comeback Player of the Year. So, Steve, you can see the favorites for that award now. Do you like one of those guys to pick it up, or do you have your eye on someone maybe with some longer odds here?
I like this one here for Brian Robinson Jr. a lot here. Obviously, this is his first year in the league, but this kind of reminds me back when Alex Smith won this in 2020, where he had that massive leg injury, came back in 2020. Wasn't like he was overly good. 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, gets cut the next month. Like, that just says everything you need to say here. But when coming back from the situation that he's been in, it's hard not to like him here, because if Alex Smith showed anything, it doesn't mean, as long as you come back, it doesn't mean you have to particularly play well. From everything that he's gone through this offseason, plus 450, I feel like that's a layup right there.
Julian, take Jameis Winston, you won't.
Steve took the words out of my mouth. You see the rest of these guys, they're all coming back from injury. The only other guy kind of higher on the board is a Mitch Trubisky, who might have a good year for the Steelers, but what's he coming back from? Not playing well and then being a backup quarterback?
Right.
Like, the way this award has been trending, Alex Smith, another guy from the same franchise, is the perfect comp. That's what the award is now. How is he even on the board near a favorite if it's Comeback Player of the Year and he has never played an NFL game? What's he coming back from? That's what the award is now. He's coming back from that terrible situation, attempted robbery, gets shot, and he shoots to the top of the board here, no pun intended, and he is now plus 450 on that number. Like, he should be much higher favored.
All right, guys, well, the biggest news of the week, no doubt, was the Ravens and Lamar Jackson not agreeing to a contract extension with Jackson's self-imposed deadline of the start of the season. And get this, one of the last people that Jackson spoke to before the start of the season was Mike Golick Jr. He talked about, how he's feeling, what he's focused on, and what's happening between the lines of the season.
How are you feeling heading into week 1 of the season now with actual football on the horizon?
I'm feeling pretty wonderful, comfortable. Just can't wait to get out there. I didn't play like 6 games last season. I didn't finish the season with my guys, so I'm pretty pumped up right now. I just can't wait to get out there.
All right, everyone is wondering if this is going to be a distraction for the Ravens, right? But Lamar does have that juicy week 1 matchup against the Jets, Joe Flacco, and he's got to play out of his mind, right? Because he did not agree to that contract extension. So, Jules, you got to be eyeing some Lamar props, right?
Yeah, I played the over on Lamar Jackson rushing. I think it's a good play, and we talked earlier in the segment about Baltimore's backfield situation, right? They're dinged up. They're down their top 2 guys. They're on a 3rd-string running back. They're not in a spot that they want to be, and it's in a really good matchup against the Jets. So this is typically when Baltimore leans on Lamar Jackson a little bit more heavily. You look back to early weeks last season before Jackson got hurt, over 80 rushing yards in week 1. He topped 100 in week 2. This is when Jackson kind of gets that hot start to the season in terms of rushing. So I think we see that against the Jets in this game, and I think we see him play angry this year because he wants his money.
You agree, Steve?
Yeah, you can take him to go over 287.5 rushing and receiving yards with the backfield issues that we have going on. That's the big thing here. Players who bet on themselves. Aaron Judge, perfect example with the Yankees having a stellar year. We could see a lot from Lamar Jackson this year as well. Perfect matchup to start in this season.
All right, good stuff, guys. Coming up on The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, we're going to break down some of the best long shot bets available for week 1, but not before Reed Fowler gets busy working in our Build-A-Bet workshop. There he is, manufacturing his favorite parlay of the day. That's next. Hey guys, I'm Jesse Cofield. Welcome back to The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, football season is a really busy time of the year for all of us here at DraftKings, but we're really going to put one of our colleagues to work right now. Reed Fowler is here in the Build a Bet workshop, chefing up his favorite parlay. Get to building, Reed. Let's see it.
You know, Jesse, I look at this like the first day of school, right? Where everyone's gearing up. We had our first production meeting earlier today. We were all chatting it up. This was really nice that Steve and I were friends. Julie and I were friends. Probably mid-season, we're not going to be friends anymore. But you take a look at all these, and there's so many bets that you can do. You can do same-game parlays. You can do a bunch of different parlays on this, and hundreds of bets. You can pair up, Baltimore under 44 with the Baltimore Ravens and New York Jets. I don't think that clears anything. You can go, like I mentioned, same game parlay all the way down in that Vikings Green Bay game. I like Dalvin Cook to score a touchdown and also Minnesota to win. You see it now moved up to the Vikings giving 2 points. But where I'm going to go, guys, where I'm going to go with this is I'm going to keep it simple. You don't want to get too crazy with your first day outfit. You also don't want to get too crazy with your first week parlay. I'm going to go Saints money line for my first half of this parlay. The Saints are an improved offense, in my opinion. Michael Thomas is going to come back. Chris Olave is an explosive receiver. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram. These guys are fantastic. Jameis Winston was extremely efficient last year. I do think this is tough. I get it. This is a tough division game, but you take a look at the Saints. That's a top 3 defense, potentially one of the best defenses in the NFL come season's end. I really like the Saints to win that. Not particularly liking a side, especially a hook in that 5.5 if you like the Saints. And I don't necessarily believe that the Falcons can play against that Saints defense. So that's my first one. I'm going all the way up, and Steve Buchanan's going to like this one. I'm also taking the Philadelphia Eagles money line as well. Detroit Lions are getting so much positive publicity right now with Hard Knocks. I get it. Dan Campbell is fantastic on TV. He's #content. But I still like the Eagles in this. They improved on defense through the draft. They improved on offense also during the draft with A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts is going to have a fantastic season. You take a look at this team and the Philadelphia Eagles. They're one of the favorites to win that division. A lot of people like their futures as well. That parlay, people, pays out plus 107, so a little bit better than plus money. Really like this. You can add to that. You can take off if you like Kansas City better than one of these teams. Love that as well, but give me the Saints, Eagles, plus 107 money line. Jesse, that was a lot of work. I'm going to drink a lot of water. I'm going to take a nap after this. What do you guys think?
Yeah, take five. Take 5, Reed. You crushed it. We really appreciate it. Always a team effort here at DraftKings. So with that in mind, 2 more of our team members are actually here to give a quick lesson on another way to bet. Teasers, okay? So we've got Emerson Latzia and VSiN's Josh Applebaum here to talk teasers, like best way to approach them and how to bet them strategically. So take a look.
All right, Jesse, we appreciate you. Yes, I am Emerson. He is Josh. So when we're looking at the DK Sportsbook here, besides the standard bets of like totals, money lines, and point spreads, talk to me about teaser bets here. These are very unique. So for anyone new to the betting game, what are they?
Yeah, so I think it's important to know this. You don't have to just bet the conventional spread, money line total. There are other ways to get down on sports. So the teaser is one of the most popular ways to bet. It's kind of like the parlay in a way. Parlays, as we know, you're combining multiple bets into one bet. If you're able to cash all those bets, you're able to get a pretty good payout. The key is if you lose one of those legs in your parlay, you're going to lose the whole thing. Yep. The difference, though, with the teasers, though, is you can adjust the line in your favor one way or the other. So you could take, the most common one would be a 6-point teaser. Maybe you take a team +7 up to +13. Maybe you take a favorite -6 down to a pick 'em. You can also do it with totals up or down. The whole point being, the more legs you tease, the bigger payout you're going to get. But just like those parlays, you got to win them all in order to cash your bet.
All right, so what would you say like a successful strategy is here when it comes to betting teasers?
Yeah, so I think the public looks at teasers and just says, hey, I like this team. Let me get a better number by going up or down. But really wise guys, they lean on teasers in a specific strategic way. What they're going to look at is 2-team 6-point teasers. And their goal is to go through multiple key numbers. So if you're watching a game, Emerson, we've watched so many football games in our lives. Isn't it funny we always see 20-17 scores, 24-21. It seems like there's a lot of 3-point victories. Why? Because the field goal is the most common method of scoring. So 3 is your most common key number. 7, same sort of thing. 10, all these kind of multiples of 3 and 7, you see a lot of margins of victory like that. So what wise guys like to do is really go through multiple key numbers of 3 and 7. So for example, there's a dog you like. They're +2.5, Emerson. Like, I kind of like them, but I want some more wiggle room. Take them +2.5. up to plus 8.5. Why is that strategic and smart? Because you go through 3, you go through 7. If that game lands on 3 or 7, you cover based on that teaser.
All right, Josh, appreciate the help, man. Everyone, hang out. We got one more break to go in this first half hour of our show. Jesse and the gang are back with some of their favorite long shot bets after this.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And during week 1, new customers can bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Download the app and use code SWEAT when you sign up. The Sweat presented by the DraftKings Sportsbook is back. I'm Jesse Cofield. They are DraftKings contributors Julian Edlow, Reed Fowler, and Steve Buchanan. Guys, it is Sunday specials time, okay? Featuring some of the best long shots, promos, fun bets for week 1. Very exciting. So every week on the DK Sportsbook, during NFL season, you can find cool specials and promos. So, for example, like first quarterback to throw a touchdown pass on Sunday. So Joe Burrow is the favorite, plus 1,000, Bengals taking on the Steelers. So you've all been digging around the Sportsbook here, coming up with your Sunday specials. So why don't we just start with Steve, you, Sunday specials.
Yeah, good, because this one is the longest. I need like a glass of water after this.
Steve's going to take the whole time.
Bear with me here. Grab a crayon, write this down, okay? Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne Jr. combined for over 500 rushing and receiving yards, getting that at plus 300. Julian hates this one already, so it's going to be good. This is what TV's for, good content. But you look at some of the matchups that some of these guys are in. Alvin Kamara against the Falcons, absolutely shredded that defense last year. Should be able to do that again this year. You got DeAndre Swift, who's been extremely effective through the air, especially in the beginning of last year. Obviously, the injuries derailed that a little bit last year, but just all these guys combined to go over 500 rushing and receiving yards. Look, it's a long shot. It's a special, something fun to sweat throughout the afternoon, plus 300. I like that. Now, Julian's going to tell you why one of these guys is going to get injured and the whole thing is stupid.
Well, I mean, I'm all for some week 1 overs on player props, but like we do for season long, we play unders generally because some guys are going to get dinged up. You can lose your job. There's different ways that you can lose. So right now we're getting.
Where'd you get those stats from?
My brain.
Oh, okay.
So if we're going to get exposure to 4 players here, now there's 4 guys that can get injured. If one guy gets injured, now the other 3 have to pick up the slack and get you to that total. So I just want to focus on them a little bit less.
All right, so is that what you're doing for your Sunday special?
I am. I'm going to root against people instead. I have the Bears at plus 750 to be the lowest scoring team on the slate. They have no offense. I took Fields over on the rushing. He'll be scrambling, but they're not going to score points. It's a mess in Chicago. Rainy, windy, playing against the 49ers defense. That's an under game. The Bears, plus 750, lowest scoring team in the day.
Yeah, I don't see how this doesn't hit. Unless
And I get twice as
weather
long odds of
doesn't
Steve.
really make that happen.
Unless it's the Jets. I'm sorry, the Jets are probably the biggest contender. So Julian, that's just right on brand though. I'm just gonna bet against people. That's what Julian's MO is.
Yeah.
I love it.
Words to live by,
Hate,
Julian.
hate.
And for my MO, I'm going completely homer pick here. The Las Vegas Raiders. Renfro, Waller, or Devontae Adams score first touchdown at plus 350. The big reason why I like this, like Waller is back. He didn't really get a lot of red zone opportunities because he was hurt most of last season. Adams, I know he was on another team before, and Renfro, top 7 both in red zone opportunities with the Raiders, last year as pass catchers. So love it as first TD, at plus 350.
Well, see, the problem with that one is it's going to be Foster Moreau.
Probably. It's probably going to be
That's any of
Foster or
them.
Josh Jacobs.
Any of them to get the first TD in the
Any of them
game.
to get the first TD of the game.
I actually
Julian's
like that.
like, wow, I kind of like that one,
Well,
right?
I mean, you're getting the same numbers Steve got on his 4 guys over rushing
Yeah.
and receiving.
Good choices by all of you for your Sunday specials. I can't wait for this season to go on and we get to find out, how crazy you get on this. But what a show, baby! We're back. NFL season is back. We are back. That's all the time that we have for this week, right? But we are actually going to keep this show going. All of these guys will be back. More people will be back. We're going to have more knowledge coming your way. We're going to do it on the DraftKings social channels. So Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all those places. You can tune in and watch us for the next half an hour. That's 11:30 to 12. Of course, we're going to be right back on your TV next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for watching, everybody. Enjoy Week 1.
That was a lot to say. You did a good job.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Tune in next week.
What up, everybody? Welcome to the first Sunday Sweat of the NFL season, or if you've been watching us on your television sets and on the DK social media channels, welcome back to the first Sunday Sweat of the NFL season. I am Emerson Latzia. We're going to kick off our second half hour of this show by reminding you how you can become a millionaire today. Yes, make sure you get inside the $5 million Millie Maker for $5. Enter your lineup. First shot at the $1 million top prize and a ticket to the Tournament of Champions semifinals. So head over to the DK lobby. Start building those lineups right now. If you're thinking, man, I could really use some help right now building my DFS lineups, we have an analyst for that. Jeff Ulrich joining us virtually. Great to have you here. Boop. Okay, we're gonna go position by position here. Let's start under center. Patrick Mahomes, the beefiest salary on the board, 7-7. Chiefs opening up the season at Arizona, dude. Where are you leaning here at quarterback?
It is a beefy salary, isn't it? I mean, $7,700 for your quarterback. You can spend all the way down. I mean, you look, we got Jared Goff sitting there at $5,400. Why don't we just pay down for? I'm just kidding. Yes, pay up for Patrick Mahomes, you guys. What is this? There's value out of other places. We're gonna save money at other positions. The Arizona Cardinals don't have a secondary. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, they're signing guys off the Jets waiver wire. Like I don't know how this isn't a bigger deal. This should be national news Emerson, the state of the Arizona Cardinals secondary. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have an applied team total. It's been pushing up. It's just like the guy in Price is Right. He's going up the cliff all season, all week. They're going to score 1 billion points here. Patrick Mahomes has passed for 3 passing touchdowns or more in each of the last 3 season openers. You give Andy Reid time to prepare for a defense like this, Patrick Mahomes is going to put up numbers. He's also very easy to stack from a DFS strategy standpoint because, yeah, you can go Travis Kelce, but there's cheap receivers, which is just going to bring down the total average. Juju, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who I don't mind at all. You can stack Mahomes with these guys. He should be the guy you're going to. Yes, there's cheaper options. My guy Trey Lance is $6K. I don't even mind Tua at $5,700, but you know, Patrick Mahomes is by far and away the option that if you're making single lineups, that's where you should be starting with.
Yeah, the NFL world waiting with bated breath to see how he fares moving forward without speedster Tyreek Hill. Let's go to running back. So MVP candidate here, dude. Jonathan Taylor is a whopping $9,100 at Houston. So he's expensive, but it kind of feels like a relative bargain for the top stud in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think Taylor's priced. The top 3 running backs could all be a little bit pricier. I think Taylor's probably fine at $9K. He's what you call like a kind of neutral in salary. I like going down though because I do think that Christian McCaffrey is actually just a little bit of a better bargain. Like one thing to know about DraftKings scoring is it's full PPR, and who does that help? It doesn't really help Taylor that much. He's probably going to get a couple screen passes for sure, but unless this turns into some kind of like back and forth shootout and Davis Mills, you know, just busts out like he takes off the play and it's Joe Montana sitting back there. It's probably going to be just Taylor running the ball, and yeah, he could certainly get there. But the full PPR, it helps Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian McCaffrey is actually just a tiny bit underpriced at $8,500. I mean, this player when he's been healthy, and I know it feels like a decade ago that happened, he just eats up. He's basically a wide receiver playing in the running back position. He's coming back healthy. He's got a ton of motivation. The shin thing where he like cut his shin, and everyone's scared about it now. I think you take advantage. 8,500. That's where I'd rather start with the top 3 running backs. If you're giving me a choice, I'm going to McCaffrey. I want to take advantage of like the low perception, the low sentiment in week 1. But you know, running back is a stacked position. I mean, it really is. And I'm going to mention a guy who I know is like a big fan favorite of everyone over there. That's Chase Edmonds at 5,200, going up against an aging New England Patriots defense. If you're paying down, I think Edmonds is in a great spot for week 1. He's going to catch passes too. So that's going to be my value play. But again, just like Mahomes, if you're paying up, I'd start with McCaffrey. All
right, also in the running back world, so J.K. Dobbins officially inactive as we go to wide receiver. Michael Thomas is active. His salary nowhere close to Devontae Adams, though. Only guy north of $8,000. So he's making his Raiders debut here versus the Chargers. Which wideout will receive a healthy chunk of your budget today?
I mean, Devontae Adams being the, like the top play or the top priced play is kind of interesting. I mean, I can see it. I like stacking that game, but Devontae Adams also probably just a little bit overpriced when you're comparing him to like the players behind him. I mean, we got Justin Jefferson at 7,800, but I feel like the player who's most mispriced at the top of the board is Jamar Chase at 7,100. I mean, what do we know about Jamar Chase? We know his ceiling is just, it's out of this world. You know, I mean, like against the Steelers, this isn't really like the Steelers from, you know, the early 2010s or anything. I mean, I think this team, Cincinnati came in and walloped this team at least once last year. And I think Jamar Chase at 7,100 definitely has a chance to do it again. It all comes down to price, much like McCaffrey. I mean, I just think you're getting too much of a discount here on Chase week 1 off a guy like Devontae Adams. Adams could come out and him and Carr could be magic and that game could go nuts. And if you're making, you know, Chargers stacks, trying to get Devontae Adams in is fine. But the real value here is Jamar Chase. This is a player who we could see push for like 8,500 in salary later in the year if he takes off or even starts to get heavier targeting. Just remember, Jamar Chase was wide receiver 3 last year. He was 18th in targets. Like the sky's the limit for this kid. So 7,100, yeah, I really like that. But again, much like running back, I mean, there's a ton of opportunity here. There's no wide receivers in Arizona. They don't have a secondary. They don't have a wide receiver core. It's Marquise Brown, but who's behind Marquise Brown? It's A.J. Green at 4,600. Yeah, I know. I didn't really walk into week 1 wanting to play A.J. Green, guys, but the targets are going to be there for him. He's only 4,600. I'm very high on him for DFS for week 1. I just think that he's got an extremely safe floor. And if he finds the end zone, or this game gets a little crazy at the end, he gets a bunch of prevent targets, he could push for the 100-yard bonus too. So AJ Green at 4,600. Like props too on the DK Sportsbook. Go over on AJ Green week 1.
Well, without J.C. Jackson, too, I mean, the Chargers will have absolutely no answer for Devontae Adams. But you've kind of mentioned it. There are plenty of strong mid-range and value options out there. So maybe a lot of people decide to spend up at running back, maybe at tight end, because there's 2 of them that'll cost you at least $6,500 here. They are on your screen. Mandrews and Travis Kelce. How comfortable are you tying that much salary to a tight end for your week 1 lineup?
So I'm actually not. I'm not very comfortable, Emerson. I don't feel comfortable paying up for this position at all in week 1. I mean, Travis Kelce is going to catch a ton of balls this year. He's going to have a ton of targets. But I think week 1 with Arizona, just with Vance Joseph's defense, I mean, what do? They lock down the tight end position the last 2 years. It's been a thing. I like going to Juju or even Marquez Valdez-Scantling for your Chiefs stacks. And Mark Andrews, I think Mark Andrews is in for a big year. But against the Jets, he could top out at like 7 targets here, just because if Lamar runs in a couple touchdowns, this game's over by halftime. I like going down the board. I think there's a lot of interesting value tight ends. Dallas Goedert's in a good position, but again, if we like Jamar Chase, like Joe Mixon, maybe Joe Burrow, what about Pat Freiermuth at 4,200? Excuse me, the leading receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers in preseason. Mitch Trubisky, are we really going to trust Mitch Trubisky to be thrown out to the sticks, to be thrown downfield to George Pickens? I think it's Freiermuth who's going to catch the attention of Mitchell Trubisky. And again, like, you've got to look at the matchups. Arizona, not a good matchup for tight ends. Cincinnati's actually a very good matchup for tight ends. They don't cover well. The middle of the field isn't their strength. They've got good outside, covered box corners. They don't really have great cover safeties or linebackers. I think Freiermuth is in a position here where Steelers get down, he could push for 8-9 targets, maybe even like a touchdown and 100 yards. He's 4,200. I really like him week 1, especially if you're playing Bengals stacks. You got to pick a guy to come back on the other side to get all the targets. Pat Freiermuth at 4,200. Let's go. He had a really good end of the season last year, but yeah, I mean, look, bad Max Williams at 2,700 is in play. I can't go a whole tight end segment without mentioning a scrub tight end. Again, there's no one out there. Like Ertz, play like 10 snaps, it sounds like. Max Williams, 2,700, there's your punt play.
Well, Freiermuth, too, he scored as a rookie in both matchups against Cincinnati last season, so.
Great stat.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just trying to support you, dude, which we need you to support us coming up. We need your primetime picks, so I need you to hang out, plus Russell Wilson's return to Seattle. That's tomorrow night. We'll dive into some Monday Night Football, but let's send it back over to Jesse, who's standing by at the desk. Go ahead, Billy. Moving on over there.
All right.
With Steve, Reed, and Julian.
Sitting by at the desk, more like it, am I right? All right, it is seeing the futures time. All right, we're going to talk futures bets. Bills opened the season as Super Bowl favorites. They had that dominant showing in LA we all witnessed on Thursday night. They're plus 500 to win it all, but that's just one of like so many futures bets that you can find on the DK Sportsbook. I know you guys have been running through these, so Reed, what is your favorite futures bet on the board for the 2022 NFL season?
I'm taking this out of Julian's playbook here. I am not supporting a team, not supporting players.
Beautiful.
It is under 8.5 of the Arizona Cardinals regular season wins at minus 110. That's where it was that's where it was at last time I saw it. But look, there's going to be regression this year, guys. What do we know about the Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury, and especially Kyler Murray? Really strong in the first half of the season, what we saw last year, but then as it gets back to that 8, 9, 10 weeks, they are really bad. You take a look at their schedule, the final 10 games, it is a tough schedule. You got San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Denver, San Francisco again, Rams, Minnesota Vikings, and Chargers. This is, by all estimation, one of the toughest schedules in their last 10 games. I just don't see it. Cliff Kingsbury, he's on the hot seat. And this is one of the oldest offensive lines in the NFL. No DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6. No Christian Kirk. He's in #Duval. So give me under 8.5 for Arizona.
All right, Steve, where are you going for your favorite futures bet? Are you going to also not support a team here?
Yeah, that is absolutely correct.
Wow,
Julian. We're a very negative show.
I'm
rubbing off
keep
on
that
people.
negativity going. Give me the Cowboys under 10 wins this season at minus 120. I don't think it's stated enough how much the loss of Tyron Smith is going to be for that offensive line. We saw him miss a bunch of games last year. That was a huge loss for them. The offense just wasn't the same. They had the total rushing yards to that team dropped over half a yard without him. Dak, his yards per attempt were under 6 in 3 of the 6 games games that he missed last year. Then they're also going to be without James Washington. They're also going to be without Michael Gallup. And they already said that they're not going to go out and get another receiver. That's what Jerry Jones said there. The Cowboys do have one of the better schedules in the NFL. But that being said, if they get out to a slow start, it might just be curtains at that point there. So they need to win these games that are winnable. But at this point, they haven't even taken the field, and they've already have massive guys missing a handful of games here. So I think under 10 wins is very likely for this Cowboys team.
All right, Julian, bring that negative energy. What's the top of your futures board?
I like both of those, actually. I've actually played both. And I'm going to back a team here. I'm going to support a team to have a good season, throw everybody a curveball here.
It's the upside down.
It is, yeah. So the Indianapolis Colts to win the AFC South. They're minus 130. They opened around even money. I'll bring some hate in. It's because I don't like the teams in the rest of the division. I like what Indy did. Obviously, you bring in Matt Ryan for Carson Wentz. You add a Stephon Gilmore, a former Defensive Player of the Year, to that secondary. You can run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. All the pieces are in place for the Colts to have a good season. But Houston's not winning that division. Whether they're better or worse than we think. Jacksonville, better or worse than we think. They're not winning that division. So that leaves it to Tennessee, who I think took a huge step back. We saw who Ryan Tannehill was in that playoff game. Back-breaking interceptions. You lose Julio Jones and A.J. Brown. The defense isn't all that good to begin with. Tennessee won both of those games last year, but that was on some Wentz interceptions that threw in there. I just think the Colts are the best team in this division. They're going to do. They could go 5-1 in the division, and then it's a wrap. And
some defensive guys out, key defensive players for the Colts. Shaq Leonard is out, could be out for the first 4 weeks, but probably the first 2. And Kyrie Willis, he also retired earlier this week, I believe. So some key defensive players as well, not with the Colts, but that offense is.
Don't lose to the Texans, please.
Yeah. Please.
Yes.
All right, well, gentlemen, it is time to start cooking up your hot takes of the day. So make sure you start thinking about those. You're going to deliver them to the people coming up next. Jeff Ulrich going to hand out his primetime picks, so that'll be fun. But first, we want to give you a taste of the sweat. And that does sound kind of gross, but what we mean is that you can catch us every weekday at 11 a.m. Doing our thing, giving out advice and everything. So we just want to show you what perhaps you've been missing. So that's the taste of the sweat. Take a look.
Sounds delicious.
This week on The Sweat.
Welcome to The Sweat.
We're making moves here, baby. Let's go.
How are you feeling heading into week 1 of the season now with actual football on the horizon?
I'm feeling pretty wonderful, comfortable. Just can't wait to get out there. I didn't play like 6 games last season. I didn't finish the season with my guys, so I'm pretty pumped up right now.
Mike Golick is here with me. Mike, thank you so much for joining us on this most hallowed day.
This is one of the great days. The start of any sports season, baseball, basketball, hockey, it doesn't matter. There's always optimism.
We have pristine podcaster, beefy broadcaster, and former naked NFL lineman Ross Tucker joining us now. We are so back. How you feeling on day 1, dude?
We are back. I don't know that I'm feeling as good as you.
I've been thinking about this take for a little while, and it may shock you. Come here for a second. I hope Shohei and Aaron Judge both lose the MVP. I'm tired of debating about but this guy pitches and but this guy hits a lot of home runs.
Yes, we just spent about 10 minutes talking about it.
I hope they both lose.
What's in the hat?
If you give me Luis Ariz, I'm walking off.
I swear to you, you saw me just pick it, dude. No. Oh, no, get back here.
I'm really tired of this game. This game is really getting annoying.
Football kicked off last night, and you guys, do you know who did not miss a freaking beat? These guys, Jeff Ulrich and Pierce Dietrich. What do you think about last night?
The Bills did everything that we expected.
There's concerns with the Rams.
Bills are the favorite to win the Super Bowl at plus 550. Brandon, are they your favorite?
Definitely not. I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm going to be a homer here. Because listen, the Ravens are sitting there at the bottom. They're sitting there at the bottom of that top 10.
I like the Super Bowl matchup as Chiefs and Green Bay, and I think this is the year Kansas City gets back on top.
Which week 1 matchup are you most looking forward to?
Bucks Cowboys.
Yeah.
Sunday night football.
That's going to be great.
Because Sunday night is football night.
If there's any division that is going to send 4 teams to the playoffs, which has never happened before.
AFC West, maybe? Question mark?
I mean, there
exclamation point?
Anything else you'd like to add, like a period?
Umlaut? I don't know.
Wow, what a sweaty ride that was, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And speaking of moisture, Jeff Ulrich is back on our screen. He's back here. He's ready to share his favorite primetime picks for Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, 2 primetime games, hence primetime picks.
Okay, yeah. So, Jeff, let's start with your captain play in tonight's Bucks-Cowboys showdown. This game had a lot of offense last year, right? Brady and Dak going head-to-head. So do you want one of them as your captain?
I mean, I sure do. I mean, look, this is a game where we've got, obviously, Tampa Bay. What do? They push the pace. They funnel teams towards the pass. Dak Prescott threw for 58 passes last year. Had a really good performance coming off the injury. And that's where I would go. I mean, I don't see any reason not to trust Dak Prescott in this spot. I feel like you're almost certain to get 40 pass attempts here from Dak Prescott, and that is a prop that you could check out on the DK Sportsbook, going over Dak Prescott pass attempts as well. But I think when you're looking at the salaries, like, I mean, yeah, sure, I like the receivers here, but I mean, Chris Godwin could be back. That's probably gonna take away targets from Evans. CeeDee Lamb I like, but like Dak Prescott, let's not forget, like he can rush the ball a little bit too. He just brings us extra upside, especially if he falls into the end zone. I love the way he played. I think he's an underrated quarterback. He averaged over 22 DraftKings points per game last year. Just seems to be always perennially underrated. And in this matchup against Tampa, who just does not allow anything on the ground, and probably going to shut down Zeke Elliott against that weak offensive line of Dallas now that Tyron Smith's out. I mean, I think you go Dak Prescott here. Again, he's been really good week 1s too. You look, Brady, he's in play, but I got to say, I'm kind of up for fading the Bucks here. And I also think that Tampa Bay is going to be a little bit more conservative on offense to start the year. So give me Dak Prescott for the captain. I think that's where you got to go for this first primetime game.
All right, you kind of teased like a Dak prop bet there on the DK Sportsbook. What is your favorite bet for this one tonight? Right now, Cowboys getting 2 at home too, and the total's 50.
Yeah, look, I mean, like when you're playing props for this game, you've got to be looking at going over on the Dallas. I mean, I think you can fade like some of the Dallas rushers too, like fading Zeke Elliott is fine, but to go off that Dak point, I have no problem going over CeeDee Lamb's props right now. He's at 70.5 receiving yards. I think that when by the time we get to like mid-season, you're going to see CeeDee Lamb's props probably push closer to like 75, 80 yards for most weeks. The situation is just too good. There's no Michael Gallup. He is the clear number 1. I'm not going to start projecting him for like Cooper Kupp-like numbers every week, but we need to bump this guy up a little bit. And I mean, again, like we just talked about the matchup, Tampa Bay really doesn't have a dominant number 1 corner. I will take CeeDee Lamb against Carlton Davis any day of the week, especially in this offense where the Cowboys are going to be targeting him relentlessly. So, with the matchup, with just how good I think CeeDee Lamb is going to be this year, I think this total is too low. Let's take advantage of it week 1. Go over CeeDee Lamb, 70.5 receiving yards. I think that one's going to hit quite nicely for us.
All right, as for tomorrow, Russell Wilson returning to Seattle, obviously. Who's your captain play for Broncos Seahawks? Maybe, do you want to captain one of Wilson's wide receivers so you could possibly fit Wilson in too? What do we think?
He's obsessed with Wilson. He's like,
Yes.
Broncos country, let's ride, let's go.
You read my mind, Jesse. I knew I liked you. I mean, yes, I like Russell Wilson. I do think that the Denver, the offense is going to be fairly balanced, but let's buy right into this narrative. I mean, the Denver Broncos are going to be looking to get Russell Wilson some passing touchdowns, and I think that Courtland Sutton is a player who's just being massively underrated by the fantasy community and just in general by the NFL community to start the year. This is a player who has shown dominance at times. Every time last season when he got 10 or more targets, he went off for well over 20 DraftKings points. And, again, I don't know if you want to project him for like 12 targets in this game, but the matchup against Seattle, I'm not big on their outside corners here. They've got a rookie starting on one side. He's athletic, but Sutton's most likely going to be matched up against like a Sidney Jones, perhaps even Justin Coleman, who the Seahawks just signed like off the trash heap, essentially. This is a really good matchup for Courtland Sutton. And I don't think that the Seattle Seahawks have the coverage to stop this guy in one-on-one. You've got Russell Wilson now throwing him the ball in the end zone. Sutton is where you want to go here. Again, it's just like we saw in week 1 with Steph Diggs, Cooper Kupp. I think you want to take advantage of these number 1 wide receivers. Everyone's trying to guess who's the number 1. Courtland Sutton is the number 1 in Bronco country. Jerry Jeudy's a nice player. And Russell Wilson has supported multiple number 1 wide receivers for fantasy throughout his career, but Courtland Sutton is the guy who can really just bust things open here. That's where I would go for the captain spot for week 1. I think, again, you got to buy in on the kind of lukewarm sentiment right now. This is a player who could be busting out for like 70, 80-yard player props by the time we hit week 4. Go Cortland Sutton, 14-1 for week 1. That's where I would go for captain.
Yeah, reports throughout the preseason saying that Sutton has become Wilson's go-to guy, and like we've seen what that can mean.
Big-time Bible narrative there, too. These guys both big Bible studiers. I like it.
I like it.
Got to ride with it.
Okay, so how about then when we talk best bet for tomorrow night, what do you like? You like Russell Wilson, maybe over 1.5 touchdown passes?
I actually do like that one. You guys are really on par with me today. I like this. Yes, you should be buying into the narrative here. Russell Wilson, again, they're going to be trying to get him some touchdowns. But like again, let's just stick with what has been working. I mean, Diggs, Kupp, these guys are like the number 1 wide receivers in this league. They're just going to ball out. It's a pass-first league. Cortland Sutton's receiving total for week 1 is 60.5 against the Seahawks. Go over. I think this one is just a gift for week 1. Again, we really just need Sutton to stay on the field. And I think you can take it a step further. I love Sutton for a touchdown in this game, plus 135. There's just no one on the outside. I mean, again, the Seahawks have a nice rookie, but they're not even going to match him up against Sutton. I think that at the very least, like, we could see Sutton score like in very, very quickly in this game. He's plus 135 to score a touchdown anytime on the DraftKings Sportsbook. You can even look to take him for a first touchdown score. But I think Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson put together something real nice for week 1. You know, there's a lot of like kind of lukewarmness about this Broncos team. What's going to happen week 1? But I mean, I think that the mismatch is very clear with Sutton on the outside. That's where I want to take advantage of.
Okay, Wilson with an extra chip on his shoulder, perhaps, on Monday night football.
Narrative Street, baby. All right, Jeff, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We appreciate it.
Bye, Jeff.
Kickoff is just over an hour away. We are getting super close here, so it is time. The moment you've been waiting for, it is time for hot takes. Bring it on around town.
Spicy.
Reed Fowler, Steve Buchanan, Julian Edlow, getting hot over there. Take it away.
Steamy.
Yeah, it's a very hot segment. We have 3 hot men in this area right now, so we're going to give 3 hot takes that we're going to go with.
And Emerson's not even here.
Well, yeah, obviously. So we're going to give.
Come on.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start. We'll go to you. We'll go to you. Okay.
Cool.
We're going to give our 3 hot takes. So I'm going to start off with a game that everybody's looking forward to. The Panthers and Browns, okay? I was looking at the...
You're staring at a blank iPad,
yeah, I was looking at the passing yards for Baker Mayfield, and I saw the over-under was set at 210.5.
Wow.
I said, wow, that's a very high number. Because it should be under 150. I'm going under 150. 150 passing yards or less for Baker Mayfield. Because you know what? Everybody's hyped. He's like, oh, he's going to get revenge on his team. That ain't going to happen. He's a Panther now. When you go to the Panthers, you become cursed. You can't remember how to play football anymore. And this Browns secondary, by the way, it's actually very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. So everybody who thinks he's going to get this revenge, the only revenge that's going to happen is that the Browns said, we got rid of you. And now you're going to be on the Panthers.
So here's an actual working iPad for you.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's 209.5.
Yes,
It did tick down.
I
Wow.
said the hot take, already down a yard.
Yeah.
Everybody's already on the train. Give me under 150.5.
Must be watching, listening.
Like,
all around the world.
Baker, this is a game.
He doesn't even complete 3/4 of football.
Okay,
We'll
so
add that on
he's
too.
gonna get
He's
benched,
out.
so
Sam
He's
Darnold's
benched.
coming.
Yeah,
That's a
he's
hotter
benched.
take. That's
Well,
Sam Darnold.
so now, I mean, why don't you just bet the Browns then, right? If it's going to be a blowout, easy pick 'em,
Who
right?
said I didn't?
Okay.
I mean, look, what do we think of Baker? What's his ceiling, Baker Mayfield, this year?
I mean, it's probably
8
nothing
wins?
great, but
9 wins?
For me, I think personally, like rather than bet this game, if you're going to take a revenge angle on Carolina, I would rather just bet the Baker props over, including an interception.
Yep.
Like he's going to try and force it. He's going to try and have a big day. Who wins the pick'em game? I don't know, but I'm going over on Baker props if I'm having to make a decision.
The handle for Baker over half an interception is like 99%.
Sure.
Like over.
I'm going to call my people and get that line up there.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. No, I just like that look. I mean,
Alternate.
first week, it means a revenge game. He could come out and could, do well. So I like that.
Under 120.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm up. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, earlier in the show, or maybe it was the last show when we talked about the lowest scoring game, I'm starting to fall in love with the Bears being the lowest scoring team. But we're going to a team, Steve's sweetheart here, the Cincinnati Bengals, reach the Super Bowl, cover in the Super Bowl. This number's getting away from us. It's now crossed from 6.5 to 7.
Yep.
7.5 point dogs for the Steelers. Well, the Steelers are going to beat the Bengals today in
that is
week
not
1.
happening. There's not happening.
Well, it is because it's my hot take.
Okay.
The Steelers are upsetting on the road here. Everybody's talking about all these 7-point road favorites. Which ones to tease? Don't tease the Bengals at home because Pittsburgh's coming in winning that game. Tease Pittsburgh up if you're going to tease a side in this one. I think that the Steelers come in, start hot. Remember last year, Buffalo.
Yep.
Steelers get that win, road win against a really hyped team. I think we see something different. Tomlin's terrific ATS, at least as a dog. I think that Pittsburgh's in a really good spot.
Name 3 offensive players not named Najee Harris on the Steelers.
Mitch Trubisky.
Johnson.
Yeah,
That's
the same guy.
three.
Is nobody.
Well, you take a look at that, though. Joe Burrow didn't really do anything this offseason because he had that surgery, right? So experience. He's got experience, but he doesn't have a lot. So
we saw how Stafford looked without, a little bit of camp
so
under
maybe
his belt.
It's like a preseason type of game for them. Steelers.
Oh,
Like play a little narrative street week 1. But I'm going back to that. I'm going back to that sloppy game, guys. If you go on Twitter, www.twitter.com, you're going to, in case anybody didn't know the address, you're going to see a lot of videos right now of that sloppy field in Chicago.
It is
Soldier
gross.
Field.
It is gross.
Bad. It is puddling. And that's why Trey Lance and Justin Fields combined for over 125 rushing yards. I know you like that because
it's a lot.
Well, that's why it's a hot take. That's all they're going to do.
That is the segment.
They're going to run. So 80 yards let's go 80 yards for Trey Lance. Let's go 70 yards for, no, it's 150. Let's go 70 yards for Justin Fields. Taking it.
So I like where your head's at, and it's a good hot take. My only thing would be, is this field going to be too sloppy for the quarterbacks to even get out and run?
These guys can't throw.
I hope not, because I topped the show at the start of the hour with a Fields over 32.5 rushing yards best bet. So, I really hope you get there. But it's going to be interesting to see what this field looks like. This could be like a couple possessions in, live betting under 30 in this game if it looks like what it looks like right now in these reports.
Maybe over rushing prowess on Montgomery. Maybe Khalil Herbert gets in. So, look, it's a slop fest right there.
Well, I will say, if there's anything that is going to be a slop fest, it's the 3 takes that you just heard from here. Now I'm going to get back to some normalcy, some, decent-looking people. Jesse and Emerson.
Thank you. Hey, there's a flash flood warning for Chicago.
Yeah, it's messy out there. We've established that.
Yep. Little guy maybe washed away there under center,
Okay. That's going to do it for our Week 1 edition of The Sweat. Good stuff. We are so happy to be back. We will be back next week at 11 a.m., same time, same place, Sunday morning.
Yep, that's true. And just a friendly reminder, we're here every morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. We talk all the sports, not just football. So we will be back here in studio live, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Wilson's return to Seattle will be a topic of conversation. Hope you can join us. And friendly reminder, also, we're always on Twitter. So if you have any questions, feel free to tweet Steve and Julian and Reed and Jesse.
Tell them how much you love their takes.
Yes, indeed, especially when they're wrong.
All right,
everybody.
That's the show. Let's call it. See you next Sunday.
Sunday.